it's in person as well. The date of the conference is 14 and 15 September, and it's going to be at the UD Marriott. So we're very excited about that. 2-day conference. The theme is Industry 4.0, and we're going to have a golf event at Beaver Creek Golf Club on the 13th, Monday, the day before the conference. So I hope you'll come out and participate in that. And then our casino night has been moved to the 14th of September. So that'll be the night of the conference. We're going to have that at the UD Marriott as well. So if you come to the conference, stay for the casino night, and then come back for the next day to finish up the conference on the 15th. So we're very excited about these activities and hope you'll be able to join us. The events on Wildcat should be opening up soon. Just working through the details, and hope to have them in the next couple weeks.
Thanks, Yvonne. I'm going to ask if David, can I ask you to do your announcements? I'm still working with the speaker.
Sure. Do you want to pull up that slide for me, Joni?
I think we can see it.
Want to roll with that? Okay. Folks, David Hart. I am the Regional Vice President for AFCEA in the Midwest. And every year, AFCEA accepts nominations for various things. Some of them are chapter awards. Some of them are individual awards for excellence and contributions to AFCEA. And really proud of the Dayton-Wright chapter. It's one of the oldest chapters in AFCEA. Some people don't know that AFCEA is the largest professional association for the defense industry in the world. There's 150 chapters. Dayton-Wright's one of the oldest. The membership fluctuates, but there's always been hundreds of members. We've been as high as 700-800 members. We're less than that now, but many active volunteers that contribute to AFCEA and allow us to support this dialogue between government and industry. So every year that I've been associated with it, AFCEA has received the Model Chapter Award for their for achieving their business plan. And once again, we were informed here just this last week that Dayton-Wright once again receives the Model Chapter Award. Very proud of the chapter for doing that. And we have a new leadership team with the chapter this year. So also want to shout out for the outgoing leaders from last year that made this possible. And some of the individual awards that we've received that were acknowledged, and there's quite a few submissions, and not all of them are approved. The candidates are nominated by their peers, and there is a submission of each nomination. It's usually about 500 words on the candidates. And so this year we had 3 people that were awarded. The first, Yvonne Vermillion, the Segway Technologies, receives the Medal of Merit. And then 2 people received our Meritorious Service Award. Carrie Taylor with Apogee Engineering and Beth Whitehead with JGR Solutions. So we still have some awards pending that haven't been announced, but big shout out to those people. And if you'd like to acknowledge their accomplishment, feel free to type something in the chat here or send them a private message. But thank you, all of you, and the whole chapter and all the volunteers for your achievements. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was great. I am just truly honored and speechless about receiving this award. I've been a part of AFCEA and the Dayton-Wright chapter for many years, almost 20 years. And thanks to David Dodds for getting me more involved in AFCEA. I wouldn't be in this position today without him. And of course, I wouldn't be in this position without you, David, bringing me on to Segway and allowing me to support and participate and volunteer as much as I do with the chapter without Segway and your support on that. So thank you very much. We do appreciate you too. As our regional vice president, you've been involved with the chapter for many, many years and really brought it to its glory. So appreciate all your efforts and the support that you provided the chapter.
Thank you, Yvonne.
I know Joni's working with the speaker to get them connected in. I just wanted to mention a couple other events that we've got coming up. We have our May luncheon on 13 May. That's also virtual. Lynn Evanston is going to be our speaker. She's Director of Plans and Programs with AFCEA, and she assists the commander in leading the single center responsible for the total life cycle management, covering all aircraft, engines, munitions, and electronic systems. So I hope you'll join us for that luncheon as well. We're going to continue on with virtual luncheons throughout the summer, and we'll probably return to in-person in the October timeframe is what we're planning. And we're hoping to still offer a virtual option, even though we'll be doing our luncheons live. So if you still want to participate or are not able to get over to the luncheon facility to join us in person, we are hoping to still be able to offer this virtual option as an option for you. So it seemed to be successful. We have averaged about 60 or 70 folks participating for these virtual luncheons. So, you know, that was about the same average we got in person. So it hasn't slowed us down. It hasn't slowed our chapter down. So we're very happy to be able to offer a lot of events that seem to be of interest to the chapter, whether we're in person or we're online like we are today. Our chapter events is actually pretty darn full. I mean, we've got a great program throughout this year and are working on providing some new and exciting events and activities for you. We started a YouTube channel, and all of our events, including this one and our speaker, are being recorded and they're posted out there so that you can go back. If you're a member of our chapter, you can download and watch these events at any time. We're also working on some podcasts and some women's outreach events so that we'll be able to have those available out there on our channel as well. So we will get that information out. In fact, it's at the bottom of each of the events that go out is a link to our YouTube channel. Additionally, I wanted to mention that AFCEA offers a great deal of scholarships to high school and undergraduates. So if you know of anyone that is in need, looking for scholarships, check out our Dayton-Wright AFCEA website. We offer several scholarships, one in honor of one of our former presidents, Dan Curtis, and it gives preference to a student from Wayne High School. So if you know anyone from Wayne High School that's looking for a scholarship, check out our website. We also offer a scholarship in honor of General Wolfenbarger. She graduated from Beaver Creek High School, so locally. The scholarship gives preference to a female that is graduated or is going to be graduating from Beaver Creek. So if you know of anyone with that criteria going into a STEM-related field, that would be a good candidate that would qualify for that scholarship. But we also have numerous other undergraduate scholarships that are targeted for students and undergrads in the STEM-related fields. We try to promote the science, technology, engineering, and math through these scholarships. And the application process is very easy, right online, and the awards will be announced around the beginning of June timeframe. So take a look at those. If you have any questions, let me know, or Andy Higgins, who's our VP of Education, or Beth Whitehead, who is our VP of Information. So let me check in with Joni and see if she was able to get our speaker secured. Joni, were you able to? And our speaker was having some technical difficulties getting online and connecting in through, I think, through VPN. One other plug, we have an ideation and innovation event coming up in this summer. So we just had our last ideation and innovation event in March. It was fantastic. We had a panel of folks that came in and talked about AI and ML, artificial intelligence, and how they're utilizing that in the commercial sector, really in the state and local area in Marysville, Ohio, with autonomous vehicles. The city of Dublin is building some roadway where autonomous vehicles would be able to operate over there. And we talked to some other folks from the government perspective and academic perspective, who talked about a lot of the efforts that were going on in their swim lane. So it was an exciting event. We have that recorded. That's out on our YouTube channel as well. If you weren't able to attend that, you've missed that. It's recorded out there. It was very informative. We had a lot of folks attend that as well. We have our next one this summer. So what that platform is we bring in someone from academia, someone from government, and someone from industry to kind of talk about an emerging technology or area of innovation. And we hear from academia and kind of what the basics, the overall concept is from, scholar perspective, and then we talk about industry and the emerging technologies that they are leading and activities and events that they are doing as a result of that. And then we have a government speaker that talks about the how government is applying that technology and some of the emerging innovations that they are doing with that effort. So it's a really great and different type of platform we're offering. It's focused a lot more around the AFRL, the research labs, and some of their emerging technologies that they're working on. So it's kind of it's a neat new type of offering that we're providing. And so you'll see those events pop up about every quarter. If anyone is interested in volunteering for the chapter, we are in search of more volunteers. We have been getting a lot more folks to help out, from membership to education to information technology, but we still have availability and lots of activities that we could really use some support from. So if you know someone that wants to get more involved, let me know, or let Joni know. Reach out to any of us. We have some more podcasts and some outreach activities that we want to do, and more volunteer activities that we want to do. We just need some more folks to help us support that. We are also trying to put together another robotics challenge this fall, so we'll need some more volunteers to support that as well. The Air Force Museum would love to host it again. We're just trying to work out the logistics and make sure it's safe for everyone to be able to conduct the challenge with the students again. That's kind of in a safe place. right? So if you know of anyone that might be interested even in that, let me know.
Mr. Wert, is that you that just dialed in from 6844?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. I apologize for the technical difficulties we've had this morning.
Yeah, no, my apologies. For some reason, on Zoom, I was able to get to the meeting. It just wouldn't let me in. So in any event, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, I'll just do a short introduction, sir, and then I'll hand it over to you. So Stephen Wert is a member of the Senior Executive Service as PEO Digital AFL-CMC Hanscom Air Force Base in Massachusetts. He leads more than 3,500 airmen, government civilians, and support contractors in the acquisition of software and weapon system and to standardize and spread agile software development process through the Air Force. PEO Digital also executes a $19 billion future years defense program portfolio of ACAT, non-ACAT, technology transition, and foreign military sales program. He reports directly to the Service Acquisition Executive and is a milestone decision authority for delegated ACAT 2 and all ACAT 3 programs in the PEO portfolio. Mr. Wert served as an Air Force officer for nearly 25 years. He led performance engineering on the Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile and served as program manager for missile integration efforts with the NATO Eurofighter JAS-39, Gripen, and Peace Onyx F-16 programs. He later directed the Airborne Warning and Control System Radar Development Team and led the ACAT-1 U.S.-NATO Radar System Improvement Program. You can see his bio on our website, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Wert, and I will share your slides. I know that you can't see them, but I'll start with the first slide, and you just prompt me when you want to go to the next slide.
All good. Thank you very much, Jim. So good afternoon, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be on video with you. I was going to invite you into my home in Plastow, New Hampshire, where I am this afternoon. It depends on what day of the week, whether I'm in the office or teleworking, as most of you probably are. So I was very happy to agree to talk with you today because I really believe in the AFCEA mission, especially promoting STEM. So for those of you who are part of AFCEA, thank you for what you do there very much. And with that, I'll get into it for chart 2. I'll just tell you a little bit about our directorate because we're not there in the Dayton area. We're a lot of other places, but not there. I want to walk you through what we're focused on currently, our current priorities. And then I have mostly pictures, some program vignettes to give you a sense of what we do. And I have a very dense chart on recent or potential new workload projected to be aimed at us as well. So chart 3. This is really trying to focus on our scope and mission areas. I'll talk about our priorities separately, but this gives you a sense of the size of our organization, 3,900 total people, a big collection of programs on the order of 300. And you'll notice many of them are small, and many of them have been, the acquisition authority has been delegated. $11 billion total active year and FMS funding at any given time. We are an intentionally flat organization, so we have 13 divisions. We had 14, and this is relevant to some of you. We had a division focused on Joint Stars recap, and when that program got canceled, that was an MDAP program team that was available to take on the E4B SEAC recap. That division now is part of presidential and executive airlift. So there's actually a PEO there in the Dayton area who has a footprint now at Hanscom. For the next chart, I just wanted to point out we are extraordinarily geographically diverse with folks at Tinker, Robbins Hill, Colorado Springs, Peterson, Offutt, and Eglin as well. You can see 6 different, portions of our organization are in the Tinker area. One of them is actually in Norman, Oklahoma, as part of the NexRad weather-related activity. Also at Offutt, we have a standalone entire division that's focused on Stratcom and COCOM planning and C2 tools. The other unit there at Offutt was broken off of the Air Force Weather Wing a few years ago, and we absorbed that as part of our weather branch. We're currently working through a transition support plan to support the 618th AOC at Scott Air Force Base, so we'll be standing up an operating location at Scott as well. All right, next chart points to, I'm going to talk about our priorities. So I'm on chart 6, I believe. We didn't actually directly address this before. We firmly believed in focusing on 1 or 2 or 3 very important things, but we didn't explicitly say this one because it's an inherent part of our business. But with the pandemic, we're actually making this a priority. As many of you probably are, taking care of our people has become a real focus, and making sure we're in touch with them despite the telework environment, and execute on our mission despite the pandemic as well. So we really focus here on our people and our mission, keeping our people safe, doing the extraordinary things that we need to do to execute despite the pandemic, including some very creative things. This makes our senior leaders a little busier too, because we're having to elevate more and more things as we need to break through issues with site access and other things. The other thing we really focus on is learning and becoming experts on our systems and directly engaging. We focus on this. We actually have a campaign we started last year called Learn Everything, where we make it clear to our people if they need to learn something in order to support the mission, then that learning is part of the mission. And we don't have a standard. You saw how many locations we're at. We don't have a standard way of implementing this. So we have a division that does 4-hour sessions twice a month. We have another division that has a monthly brain day where all they do for one day is focus on learning and teaching each other. And actually, other external organizations have joined that brain day, which is kind of cool. And then lastly here, our leaders periodically focus on making sure we're shoring up our fundamentals. And that's just good leadership to every once in a while say, we're trying to move fast here, but what worries me right now is, are we keeping up with our CPARs? Or are we reporting accurately in our MARs? Let's remind ourselves of those things. So that's just a balancing thing that we do. On chart 7, what I've started highlighting at every opportunity is also our defense-assisted acquisition efforts. We execute now, I think we have 8 different ongoing IBX, industrial base expansion projects, and we stand ready for more. When Dr. Roper revealed that the Air Force had lead for some of the DPA activities, we had 6 of our largest divisions stood up ready teams. And then we waited a bit for the money to flow, but we've been moving out on these. We do PEO level asks on these so that we can ensure that our decisions are auditable and so we can share lessons learned between teams, because often these projects are quite related. And I'm going to show you some examples. It's also proven to be a great opportunity for learning and gaining experience for some of our junior workforce. So on chart 8, I'm not going to go through all these, but this is the kind of stuff that we're doing. Let me just talk a little bit about the first one there, HBN, one of our divisions. Actually, that division primarily does FMS work, but they wanted to be part of this. And so the only U.S. supplier of flock tip swabs, the preferred swab for test kits, is a company called Puritan Medical in Guilford, Maine, of all places. And so the project with them was to tremendously expand their production capacity. And to some degree, it's almost like a financing arrangement. But that's actually largely complete today. A second added project in that area with Puritan is standing up an additional facility in Tennessee. And that's underway right now. I'll bounce to the upper right hand. So there is one other global supplier of flock tip swabs. It's an Italian company called Copan. And so our project with them was to stand up a production facility in Puerto Rico to produce these swabs. The most recent project that we did an acquisition strategy on is the lower right hand, which is our AWACS division executing OraSure rapid antigen self-test. And I had no idea that apparently you can buy a point of use test kits for HIV and for Ebola, actually. And so they're working to build essentially an over-the-counter test kit that you can buy to self-test for COVID. And it's an antigen test, which is more accurate than an antibody test. So this is an effort our teams have taken on over and above their daily mission, and actually they're finding it quite rewarding. So with that, I'll jump to chart 9. This was our number one goal, our number one priority last year, to focus on speed, innovation, and technology. And we have developed a culture and a mindset to try and employ non-traditional strategies. And I won't spend a long time talking about this, but we got woken up in 2017 when we discovered Agile DevOps. And, you know, the next thought was, what else do we not know about? Because following DoD 5000 to produce software is perhaps the single worst way to be executing. So what else do we not know about? So we focus on competition. We love the small business challenge because it forces us to know our system. It forces us to be able to compete in order to get work to small business. Although we're still by policy supposed to be tracking should cost, more important to me is our people's time. And so we're really tracking acquisition and contracting, days and months saved as we go through the year. If we can find a way to get on contracted months versus an 18-month or 2-year competition, we're more than willing to do that. We love leveraging other people's contracts if there's something available that we can leverage. And then we've really expanded partnerships over the last couple of years. We work very closely with Mass Challenge, with Northeastern's Costas Research Institute here. So partnerships beyond, the normal MITRE and MIT Lincoln Labs, which we still are partnered with as well. So trying to get out, off the base and interact with everything that's available here. And then lastly, and it's probably well known there that our more recent focus needs to be on digital acquisition, digital engineering. So there are parts of this that I think we're very far out on: modern software development, leveraging cloud, open architecture, all those things we're pretty advanced on. Not so much on modeling and simulation. I think to a great extent in the past we've outsourced those things, and we're gonna need to do some work there. On chart 10, I wanted to do a real quick retrospective because I've been a PEO now for more than 10 years. My portfolio has adapted and expanded over time, but it's a little retrospective on the journey. So our initial focus was on plan and execute well. Plan well, execute well. And we put in place what we call critical events. So each summer we do a baseline execution review. Every program or project identifies a small number of critical events. And then we score those throughout the year. And in my monthly PEO activity report, I report on myself how we're doing. So we put that in place to demonstrate accountability for what we're doing in a much more powerful way than whether or not we've breached a documented acquisition program baseline. I don't want to know after we're more than 6 months late that we didn't achieve something. So this is a way to very actively manage. And in our weekly stand-ups, my SMLs will let me know if there's a critical event that's in jeopardy, and we'll surge on it and try and save it. And typically, our track record of saving one of those critical events that's in jeopardy is about 50%. So right now, so far this year, and we're more than halfway through the fiscal year, we're hovering around 80% achieving those critical events on time or early. And the number of critical events we're tracking is somewhere between 350 and 400 in any given year. So I spent time on that because, and I'll go more quickly through the rest of it, but that baseline, we build on that. So we still do that. We started that in 2010. We still do that today. And then, as different SAEs engaged, own the technical baseline, and competition in small business became more important. We did get really good at open architecture and OMS UCI and government reference architecture. Joint Stars Recap would have been a poster child for that because we had a government reference architecture for everything on that program, and the offerers had to provide mode development kits for the radar so that third parties could develop radar modes. They had to provide those with their proposal. So pretty far out on that front. Then about 2017, we discovered Agile DevOps, and we partnered very closely with DIU and DDS to further that. And then because of Agile DevOps, we turned and pivoted and focused on non-traditional approaches in mid-tier acquisition and pitch days. So we were at pitch day number 1 in New York City. Pitch day number 2 was at Northeastern Costas Research Institute. And pitch day number 3 was us at Kessel Run. So we leaned really far forward on pitch days. Part of that was a discovery journey. So we were also doing round 2 judging with Mass Challenge on their incoming cohorts. And it was amazing to see these startups talking about machine learning and artificial intelligence and other things that we didn't see in any of our programs. So that's the value of doing those. And because of what we saw on pitch days, as I mentioned last year, our focus became speed because of Dr. Roper, but also innovation, and then trying to accelerate those kind of technologies into our programs. And today we have several deployed applications of artificial intelligence as part of our programs. And then, as I said, digital engineering, digital acquisitions. So next chart. I think this next chart, chart 11, I think I'm intending to just make the point that what Agile DevOps was for us in 2017, it changed everything about how we did software, not just development, but it changes how we do requirements, how we contract, how we test, how we deliver. And digital engineering, I'm suggesting, is going to do the same thing well beyond software. It's a big deal. So next chart, chart 12. Part of our ABMS journey is where are our programs along the path of owning the technical baseline and agile software development. This is kind of a journey. I mean, Kessel Run started with, they happened to own their software, but they were focused on agile software development. But then it became very quickly about leveraging cloud and getting in place the infrastructure networks they need. And then they focused on data and Kafka event stream implementations for auditability of operations. And then they're now doubling down on machine learning and AI. The RCO kind of has a different focus on this, and I think it's a good one. Initially, they want to focus on the secure processing, and by that they mean a global secure C2 infrastructure that doesn't exist today. And the closest thing actually is the all domain common platform that Kessel Run has put in place that didn't exist. So if you really want to operate as a global weapon system, the infrastructure needs to be there, the connectivity needs to be there, and then you turn to data management and the applications. So so there's a real alignment there with that focus, and we have some upcoming engagements with the RCO to talk about that. And I know the focus early on, the focus of ABMS was all about a chief architect and on-ramps. And then the RCO has a role focused on capability releases. But what I want to talk to the RCO about is on the next chart, and that is for JADC2 to truly be achieved, there's not enough money in the ABMS budget to do everything we'll want to do. What we really need to focus on, in addition to those other things, is our programs of record will need to implement ABMS design patterns. And those design patterns are more like better instrumenting our systems, better instrumenting our software. And instead of exposing data for one purpose, exposing it for many purposes. And then, developing systems that consume data from many sources in order to be more effective, including data on the system itself, which is what condition-based maintenance and predictive maintenance processes would be focused on. And leveraging agile software development to enable machine-to-machine connections. So, what we're beginning to think about in the digital directorate is we're really a collection of software programs. Some of that software is embedded into some big ugly things, but it's software. So we ought to be a collection of programs that share data, machine to machine to speed operations, and in some cases we are. So I haven't yet drawn some of that out, but you can imagine an example where weather data is connected to mission planning, and then the mission plan is connected to an aircraft, and all of those connections can be machine to machine. Some of them already are, but not all of them at this point. So at this point, let me shift into just some quick pictures to walk around some of the things that we're doing. On chart 14, this is actually a picture of the numerical weather modeling capability that we recently hosted at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. So it turns out we own the Air Force's largest high-speed compute capability focused on weather predictions. And in the past, this supercomputing capability had been hosted in a building with the 557th Weather Wing at Offutt. However, we've now outgrown that building's capability to, provide power and cooling for this much computational power. So we've pivoted to hosting this at ORNL, and just recently accepted this full system in December. So on chart 15, I mentioned the team that we have out at Offutt. In the lower right, that's a picture of the new C2F. So the Stratcom headquarters building, the Stratcom staff has moved over largely into this new facility. And our team has taken over a part of the old headquarters building. And these two buildings are connected, of course. So development and then push to the C2F. The program office out there right now is working with Can I get a sound check, because I was just muted?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll move to chart 16. So another one of our programs is high frequency global communication system. This is the fallback capability to be able to communicate. These large antennas are at some beautiful locations, like this one in Hawaii. Some locations, a little more austere, but we support these systems worldwide. On chart 17, of course, this is a picture of our Joint Stars aircraft. So we don't have a flight line in Hanscom, but we do support AWACS and Joint Stars. And this picture is at the contractor PDM facility at Lake Charles, where I've been way too often. They're converting to MSG3 maintenance concept right now. They've inducted the first two aircraft to employ that on. That MSG method has been developed over the past couple of years to try and preserve aircraft availability. So real challenges with these old 707s to continue to sustain them. And chart 18. So our biggest current FMS customer is the nation state of Qatar and the Qatar Emiri Air Force. And they are buying all kinds of things, to include, in this case, early warning radar. These are the 10-story high radar buildings that have one or more faces, like BMUs, PayPals, and others. Qatar also is basically buying an entire integrated air and missile defense system, of which this is part. We also have responsibility for the Air Defense Operations Center, upgrading their AOC, and uniquely, we are the integrator across all of their IAMD programs, to include all the construction at about 8 different sites, Army Patriot, the Italian Leonardo Kronos radar, and other systems. So really challenging integration effort. I've only been to Doha twice, so it's a long trip. On chart 19, I really want to highlight, this is an example of innovation. If you had gone and looked at the old SPADOC, it's an amazing set of old gear, IBM S390, DMX4 storage arrays, a VAX 4300 networking array, and the old 9-track tape drives and reel-to-reel tape drives that if you wanted to picture an old computer, that might be what you'd picture, although that's just a peripheral. So, 900 cubic feet of that stuff, we were able to rehost in 6 cubic feet using a technology called emulation. So we didn't change the operating software at all. But basically what this emulation technique does is that software still thinks it's operating on all that old equipment, but it's not. It's operating on a modern platform. So this is a great technique. We're currently applying this to Cobra Dane, which we also sustain on Shimmy Island on the far reaches of Alaska there. So chart 20. So can't not talk about AWACS. Probably one of our busiest divisions right now is AWACS. There are more modifications going on there, all rather concurrent. That is a truly challenging thing. But one of those modifications is a cockpit upgrade called Dragon. It's a tortured acronym, as you might imagine. But we now have 4 jets in work at Tinker in conjunction with Program Depot Maintenance. So this program's well underway. And then chart 21. Another area of our portfolio is integrated base defense. That can be anything from, sensors on a fence line at any given base to more intricate security system for high value assets and things like nuclear weapons. A big effort to really modernize this portfolio is underway because much of the gear we use today really is 20 years old, the type of technologies we're using. And there are much more reliable ways to do this. More out of the box way it helps security forces is this idea of robotic dogs, which today we're experimenting with at Tinker. And that's a picture of General Bunch. Early in the day on a visit here, he got to see him play with this dog, and he talked about it the rest of the day. Okay, with that, I'll jump to chart 22. This is something that we show General Morris and the LCMC leadership on frequent occasions. So we're constantly barraged with potential new work. And some of it is a quite natural fit. Some of it's FMS that can come with direct case manpower. But some of it is quite significant, like an India ISTAR program, or spectrum efficient national surveillance radars. That, if a third of this list happened, we'd definitely be underwater. And the other point we make, of course, is this is a constant workload drain as well, constantly trying to understand these, trying to respond, and trying to have the right strategy with respect to resources. As just a quick example, the one there called Tactical Mobile Over the Horizon Radar, TACMOR, that's currently a JCTD that they want to hand off to us as a program of record, but it's basically fielding a capability on the island Republic of Palau, and would truly be a challenging thing for us to take on. So I just wanted to give you a picture of that. So I think that's what I have for you. I think I'm pretty good on time, and we might have some time for questions and answers.
Great, thank you, Mr. Wert. If you have a question, you feel free to raise your hand and unmute your mic, and we'll let Mr. Wert take those questions. Stephen Cowell?
Yes, hi, Mr. Wert. Thank you for your presentation, and I must apologize. I was a little bit tardy in arriving, but I was curious about the one comment you made about the number or the AI programs that you currently have underway. Could you just summarize what those were? And again, already spoken to that, I will withdraw my question, having been tardy.
No problem. So, two examples come to mind, well, three. I'll do three. The first and largest, in partnership with AFR Rome Labs, and we have an incredibly close partnership with them because our portfolios really align well. So we've been working with them to field AI into Air Force DCGS, which is quite a natural fit. Applying AI/ML to imagery analysis. And so we have fielded the TensorFlow harness into Air Force DCGS, and now we're beginning to field algorithms. What's neat about that is we can now turn to industry and say, develop an algorithm for us, and we can field it. So that's one. We're also using it in something called global synthetic weather. As you can imagine, there are areas of the globe where there are no weather sensors. So training machine learning algorithms to be able to predict weather. And of course, you train the algorithm in areas where there are sensors. And then over time, as the algorithm gets better and better, you can begin to trust it in areas without. I'm getting some feedback if somebody's hot mic. And then last one, we have a program. I'm getting really bad feedback. Okay, I'll try again. We have a program called Extended Tether, and some of the forward deployed PED capabilities. In that case, they're using machine learning to do edge detection of clouds, so that you can better focus on the imagery. I won't get into a further technical explanation of that one, but yeah, we're actually deploying AI and machine learning today. Over.
Thank you very much. Just as a quick follow-up, are you doing anything with the Skyborg program?
We currently are not.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. Anyone else have any additional questions? Scott.
Hey, Mr. Wert, this is Scott Touchdown DeJoya from Leidos. Kind of a quick question about innovation, and kind of looking for your thoughts on how large businesses can better operate and message to be perceived at least as innovative, if not more so, than small businesses.
Wow, that's a really good question. So I'm not sure I have a good answer for that. No, I do. So what I want my teams to do is, as they're working a new effort, it could be a modification or whatever they're working, I want them to provide a draft RFP to industry, and then pay attention to the feedback they're getting. That's the opportunity, I think, for any company to propose a different approach. But that's a window of opportunity to try and convince a team that you have a more innovative way of getting something done. And if you're doing that with one of my teams and they're not listening, I would like you to let me know, because the dilemma I know for defense industries, traditional defense industry companies, is it's hard to be more innovative than the RFP tells you to do, right? There's no way you can do agile software development if the government is handing you an RFP that tells you you got to do PDR, CDR, and all that stuff. So there is that one window of opportunity, though. Over.
Thank you, sir.
Tom Juice?
While we're waiting for another question, I'll go back to Skyborg. Actually, we're not involved with Skyborg. What we are is we are the counter small UAS company. So our focus on UAS is trying to kill them. Over.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Tom Juice.
Hello, Mr. Wert. Tom Jost from Software AG Government Solutions. And like the previous gentleman, I'll apologize in advance. I had to step away to let my granddaughter in the front door, and I may have missed something. Mr. Wert, I want to ask you, how would you describe the level of importance of IoT to your mission and processing sensor and machine data at the edge? And in regard to the level of that need, where do you think you are in regards to finding a way to scratch the itch?
Hey, thanks for the question. I'll do my best. I think what we've been focused on past few years is a more basic problem. And the problem that, we have systems and airmen all over the world that are using things that are obsolete and that aren't automated. So I think you see with Kessel Run, what we're doing is automating functions that computers do much better than humans. So the next step, of course, is beginning to connect those things, as you say, with the Internet of Things. But basically, that's what I'm talking about with machine-to-machine connectivity. So you begin to see we fielded 9 separate applications to the 609th AOC in Qatar. But most recently, actually in December, we fielded those 9 applications with the underlying data layer and the machine-to-machine connectivity, so that those applications can access data at any point in time. They don't have to be executing in series, right? So the machine-to-machine connection of things becomes very, very real. And so now we're thinking about, well, is it possible for the AOC to actually reach out into mission planning and actually see the mission plan? Is it possible for the AOC to reach down to the wing level and know at any given base what assets are available? And yes, of course, all those things are possible. And so we're beginning to connect applications like Chimera into AOC and how we're doing business. So it's no longer just theory. We're beginning to actually do these things. With respect to sensor and machine data at the edge, that's where we are now. In order to deploy AOC software at the enterprise level, we of course need regional nodes to resolve latency problems, and then if we're truly going to move forward with that agile combat deployment, and we are, then we'll need edge nodes as well, and that all has to fit together. So yeah, my sense is, machine to machine, IoT, sensors and data at the edge, we're there now. or at least
Very
the
good.
start of there now.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
More than welcome.
Great. Well, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and Mr. Wert, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to make closing comments.
Nothing else here. Just thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't be on video.
Thank you, Mr. Wert, taking care of the people and executing the mission, and for being part of our 2021 Luncheon series. We're very honored to have had you speak today. Next month, Lynn Eviston, Director of Plans and Programs, AFCEA, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, will be speaking on May 20th, which you can now register for in the portal. So with that, I give you the rest of your day and have a fabulous Thursday. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everyone.